My elder sister threatened to take her own life in order to marry her childhood sweetheart, the young general. After the wedding, she discovered that the young general was addicted to gambling. He squandered the family fortune and even used her as collateral for his debts. Meanwhile, I took my elder sister's place and married the fourth prince, who had been frail since childhood. Later, the fourth prince successfully ascended the throne, and I became the revered empress alongside him. My legitimate elder sister, harboring resentment, secretly hid a dagger and entered the palace. Under the pretense of reminiscing, she viciously stabbed the knife into my chest. Su Mohuan, I have always been nobler than you since childhood. Even now, fallen into disgrace, I can still trample you underfoot. Since heaven is unjust, I will destroy you. Ha ha ha. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day before General Zhao came to my home to propose marriage. My elder sister deliberately caused red rashes to appear on her body, thus reasonably calling off the marriage. Later, she even went so far as to drug herself and climb into the fourth prince's bed. I tried hard to suppress the corners of my mouth from curling upward, a chamber pot rimmed with gold one after another. They remained silent. My legitimate elder sister and I were both reborn. The first thing she did after being reborn was to deliberately drink almond tea that she was allergic to. Causing a full-body rash, her face swelled up like a pig's head, completely obscuring her originally beautiful features. The young General Zhao, who had always admired my legitimate elder sister, rushed over immediately, but when he saw her appearance, the marriage proposal he was about to make died on his lips. Young General Zhao, clutching the marriage certificate hidden in his sleeve, stood there awkwardly, a flicker of disdain in his eyes. At that moment, his younger sister-in-law, with red-rimmed eyes, pretended to be reluctant and spoke with difficulty. Brother Zhao, it's all my fault for eating something wrong. My body is covered in red rashes. The doctor said I might never recover in this lifetime. We are not meant to be together in this life. I only hope that in our next life, I can meet you again and become your wife. Seeing her so understanding, Zhao Lang nodded repeatedly. Ordering the servant to put down the tonics, he swiftly mounted his horse and rode away. I turned around and watched as my elder sister drank the antidote prescribed by the physician, a slight smile curling at the corner of my lips. My dear sister, I hope the marriage you so desperately seek is worth all the trouble you've gone through. I had thought my legitimate sister would resort to her old tricks, pleading for our father's support, but I never expected her to be so resolute. When my father and I, along with others, rushed to the West Wing, we happened to see my legitimate sister and the fourth prince entangled in an intimate embrace. Their clothes were in disarray, and my legitimate sister's face was flushed with shame. In full view of everyone, Su Qingyu lay in the fourth prince's arms, her snow-white legs completely exposed. Upon seeing this, the legal mother immediately fainted from anger. My father was so enraged that he spat out a mouthful of blood and ordered the servants to fetch the family discipline rod. Intending to beat his disgraceful daughter to death, watching as my legitimate sister hurriedly knelt on the ground, once again resorting to her old trick of begging my father to grant her wish. Father, I truly love the fourth prince. I beg you to grant us your blessing, now that my daughter has become the fourth prince's woman. Even if father is angry, he must consider the bigger picture. Father took the whip from the servant and was about to act immediately. I couldn't help but laugh inwardly at her audacious behavior. The Prime Minister's family education truly makes this prince look at you in a new light. A cold voice spoke, reminding everyone that there was still someone sitting on the bed behind them. As the words fell, everyone present broke out in a cold sweat. They knelt down in a dense, dark mass. The father fearfully begged for forgiveness. Your Highness, please forgive her. My daughter has been spoiled by me since she was a child and spoke recklessly in the moment. I beg the fourth prince for mercy. The man seated in the high position was dressed in black casual attire, his face revealing no emotion. Would I have heard it wrong with my own ears? Su Qingyu shyly lifted her head, knelt before the third prince, and spoke softly. I have long admired the fourth prince and wish to remain by his side from now on. Seeing this, the father slapped him and said, How dare you? Hurry up and apologize to the fourth prince. Xiao Bei suddenly let out a mocking laugh, tinged with a hint of ridicule. Miss Su, you have quite the nerve. In that case, I am willing to welcome you as my secondary consort. You should prepare yourself well." Although Su Qingyu was unwilling, entering the fourth prince's residence could be considered as achieving her goal. I stood behind her, lowering my head and eyes, a faint smile appearing at the corner of my mouth. "Sister, do you really think the fourth prince will be your salvation? He is, in fact, the most terrifying hell." It was settled that my elder sister would become the fourth prince's concubine, no matter how unwilling the legal wife may be. The status of the prime minister's legitimate daughter is more than sufficient for the position of the fourth prince's consort. Acting too hastily, a good hand was played terribly. You're being foolish, with your father's status and position. What kind of man couldn't you find, yet you insist on? But the legitimate elder sister didn't think so. "Mother, please do not be angry. The fourth prince's future is bound to be limitless. No matter how noble others may be, none can compare to the fourth prince who ascends the throne." The stepmother was so frightened by her words that she broke into a cold sweat and covered her mouth with a handkerchief. "What nonsense are you talking? Discussing court affairs recklessly. If outsiders hear this, it would be a capital offense punishable by death." Father was so angry he could barely speak, and with a furious flick of his sleeve, he stormed off. After the imperial decree granted the marriage, the Shun residents began bustling with preparations for the wedding banquet. My elder sister, holding the imperial decree with an air of haughty pride, came to flaunt it before me, saying, "Su Mohuan, this time, I will not yield my supreme honor to you again." I let out a light laugh and bowed respectfully. "Then I wish you, dear sister, may all your wishes come true." Su Qingyu did not know that the supreme honor was exchanged with her body. In her previous life, the fourth prince was not only weak and sickly but also had a hidden ailment that made him infertile. After marrying him, he tormented me every night, frequently beating and scolding me. Later, he even came up with the idea of using my body to help him win over court officials. When I refused, he drugged me and sent me unconscious to the beds of ministers. Countless nights I've thought about ending it all. But if I die, everyone around me will be buried with me. I can't watch dozens of lives be unjustly lost because of me. The hatred in my eyes surged. And I wished I could tear the fourth prince into pieces. "Shen Mohuan, you're furious to see me able to marry the fourth prince, aren't you?" Seeing my pale face, my legitimate elder sister stepped forward smugly to mock me. Little did she know, that den of wolves and tigers, I would never set foot in again in this lifetime. In your previous life, you snatched away my glory and wealth. In this life, I want you to witness with your own eyes how I take back everything that belongs to me. I was puzzled. It was my sister who insisted on marrying General Zhao. What does that have to do with me? Su Qingyu pointed at the tip of my nose. "You, stubborn as a dead duck, I'll see what kind of end you come to in this lifetime." I couldn't be bothered with her, for the glory and wealth of my past life were nothing but a fleeting illusion. The fourth prince is a dragon among men, a mere illegitimate daughter like you should stop deluding herself. But after all, we are sisters. I would never let you suffer in your marriage. My hand clutching the handkerchief involuntarily tightened. What kind of mischief is she up to again? Your marriage has been discussed by your mother and father, and it has been settled with Lord Jiyu from the west of the city. They say he is quite handsome and dignified. My sister is quite skilled at taking care of people. She will surely handle being a stepmother to his son with ease. Su Qingyu laughed so hard that her whole body trembled. Not even caring that her hair bun had become disheveled, I suppressed the excitement in my heart and kept my head down without speaking. My husband is wealthy and handsome, and I don't even have to bear children. Could such a good thing really be true? I don't know what my father was thinking. But he actually arranged for my elder sister and me to marry on the same day. On the day of the wedding, I sat in the bridal sedan chair, clutching the hem of my clothes tightly. Marrying a complete stranger I've never met before is inevitably a bit nerve-wracking. As the bridal sedan chair gradually came to a stop, I sighed quietly to myself, "Oh well, what's done is done. I'll just have to adapt to the situation as it unfolds. First bow to heaven and earth, second bow to the parents. Bride and groom bow to each other, escort the couple to the bridal chamber." The ceremony concluded, and I was led by the wedding matron to the bridal chamber. After taking a few deep breaths, I adjusted my emotions and waited quietly. I waited until the late night, but the Marquis still hadn't come. I yawned several times in a row. I'm so sleepy. I really can't hold on much longer if he doesn't come soon, madam. The Marquis has already settled down to sleep in the study. You should rest early. The announcement from the maid and the flowers made me close my eyes. My anxious heart finally settled. This is for the best, saves me the trouble of having to serve him. But next time, could you let me know a bit earlier? A little annoyed, I lifted my bridal veil and asked Nyenchio to help me freshen up. Nyenchio was as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. Miss, how can you still be so calm? If it gets out that the groom didn't enter the bridal chamber on the wedding night, you'll become a laughingstock, especially since you'll be returning home with the eldest miss. How will you face the madam? Wanting to ease her anxiety, I joked, then go find me a rope, and I'll tie up the Marquis and force him to complete the wedding night. I didn't notice two dark figures standing outside the door. The door was pushed open, and Jiyu Morchan stood there with a dark expression, and the guard beside him had a look of having heard something he shouldn't have, so flustered that beads of sweat were streaming down his face. Covering his ears with his hands like the proverbial ostrich burying its head in the sand, I've seen the Marquis. Now, my image is completely ruined. I secretly glanced up at the man in front of me, with his sharp eyebrows and starry eyes. His imposing and dignified presence made it impossible to look away. It truly is a fine appearance. I came at an inopportune time. In a moment, I wouldn't have needed to come myself, hearing the dissatisfaction in his words. I could only lower my head even further. Please forgive me, my lord, I spoke out of turn. Being abandoned on my wedding night has left me feeling deeply unhappy. His indifferent expression clearly faltered for a moment. When he looked over, just in time, I let a mist of tears well up in my eyes. Adopting a pitiable and fragile demeanor, if my face is shamed the moment I step through the door, there will be no place for me in the Marquis's residence from now on. I beg for the Marquis's mercy. I stood up, picked up the ceremonial wedding wine, and knelt on one knee to offer it to him. He did not help me up, he just looked at me with an extremely complicated expression for a long time, then took the wine cup and downed it in one gulp. I felt slightly relieved. But before I could even feel a hint of joy, he suddenly called for someone to bring a bowl of medicinal soup. I can give you the dignity of a Marquis's wife, but the Marquis's household can only have a Leavener as the legitimate heir. I do not wish for anyone who might threaten his position to appear. He stood with his back turned, just a step away from the door. As soon as the words were spoken, I picked up the bowl and drank it all in one go. He turned back to look at me in disbelief. You're so resolute. I calmly wiped the medicine stain from the corner of my lips and spoke softly. Since I have married the Marquis, whatever the Marquis says is what matters. Xie is the Marquis's child, and in the future, I will treat her as my own and take good care of her. Early the next morning, Jiyu Morchan and I went to pay our respects to his parents. The entire household was filled with joy, but Jiyu Morchan's expression was unpleasant. I followed slowly behind him, sensing something unusual about him, though I couldn't quite put my finger on it. When we reached the main hall, I respectfully served tea to my father-in-law and mother-in-law. However, my mother-in-law had no intention of letting me off easily. She cast a disdainful glance at me and said sharply, "Since you have married into our Marquis's household, you must always be mindful of your status. If you ever bring shame upon the Marquis's household in the future, the rules of this household are not to be taken lightly. Moreover, Chenna already has a Leavener as his heir. Your primary duty is to take good care of him. If you behave properly, the Marquis's household will naturally treat you well. But if you remain unsatisfied and entertain thoughts you shouldn't, don't blame the Marquis's household for not tolerating you." I bowed respectfully and responded to each one in turn, seeing that I was as soft as a ball of cotton, not even making a sound when punched. My mother-in-law waved her hand dismissively and sent me away. After leaving the courtyard gate, Jiyu Morchan said he had official business to attend to and turned to go to the study. As I reached the corner of the corridor, a figure suddenly rushed straight toward me and bumped into me. Fortunately, The nanny beside me reacted quickly enough to grab my arm and dodge to the side in time. Otherwise, making a fool of myself would be the least of my worries, getting hurt would be the real suffering. Where did this blind fool come from? Hurry up and apologize to the lady. After confirming that I was unharmed, Nanny's son pointed at the person across from her and flew into a rage. As soon as the words fell, sharp, foul-mouthed ridicule and scolding came from in front. Where did this filthy old hag come from? How dare a lowly wretch like you insult the young lady of the GU family? Pointing at the mulberry tree while cursing the locust, making insinuations with a hidden meaning, I looked up in surprise and saw the newcomer's graceful demeanor. With a face as beautiful as peach blossoms, unfazed by the grand display, she even provocatively rolled her eyes at me, looking as if she was thoroughly enjoying the spectacle. I then realized she was the noble concubine Gu Anning, the cousin of the old lady who, "So it's you, sister. I came to pay my respects to our aunt and didn't expect to disturb you. Sister, you are magnanimous and surely won't hold it against me. Sister, if we must assign blame, it is I, as the mistress of the house, who lacks tolerance. From the very first day you entered this household, you intended to intimidate me. It all seems like a clever plan, but unfortunately, you've misunderstood, sister. Today you shall see clearly who is the true mistress of this household." I smiled faintly and raised my hand to deliver a sharp slap across her face. Gu Anning stared in disbelief, her eyes wide as she pointed at my nose and began to curse. "What do you think you are? You're nothing but a lucky birth. How dare a mere concubine-born daughter like you act so arrogantly in the Marquis estate? Let me tell you, don't even think about it. I had intended to teach her another lesson, but I inadvertently caught sight of Gu Morchen turning back. My body trembled slightly, yet I uttered words that cut to the heart. It seems you still haven't grasped the situation. Even if you bear the surname Gu, you're just a concubine. A concubine is nothing more than a concubine." Gu Anning clearly didn't expect me to humiliate her like this. Being so spoiled, how could she possibly swallow such an insult? As soon as she realized what was happening, she immediately lunged at me with a furious expression. "You wretched woman, how dare you!" Unable to dodge in time, Gu Anning's slap barely missed my face, but her fingernails scratched my neck. A burning pain shot through my neck, and tears instantly welled up in my eyes. "Marquis," upon seeing the person who arrived. I fought back my sobs, gently bowed, and spoke in the most aggrieved tone possible. As expected, Gu Morchen furrowed his brow. What happened? Gu Anning was already so frightened that she was at a complete loss. Before Gu Anning could speak, I immediately spoke softly. "My sister is just being immature." Gu Anning was furious and instinctively grabbed Gu Morchen's sleeve. "Cousin, she bullied me. Not only did she deliberately knock me over, but she also mocked me for being just a concubine." Gu Morchen glanced lightly at my neck, which was still faintly bleeding, and his expression darkened. "Do you think I'm blind?" Gu Anning's heart skipped a beat. Without any evidence, she instinctively swallowed hard. Having been in the mansion for 2 years, she understood her cousin's methods better than anyone. "I only hit her because I was momentarily overwhelmed with anger. Besides, she hit me too, so we're even." Gu Anning pointed at the slap mark on her face as she made her complaint. "Aunt Gu has overstepped her bounds, and as the mistress of the household, it is my duty to instruct her." With my eyes lowered and lashes trembling, I appeared both stubborn and pitiful. "Such nerve! Where has all your earlier fierceness gone?" Gu Morchen's tone carried a distinct sense of frustration and disappointment. I shakily averted my gaze, smiled, and looked at him with eyes full of grievance. "I know I was wrong, my lord. Please don't be angry." Gu Morchen looked at me again, his expression unchanged, then untied the token hanging at his side and tossed it to me. "You can handle the affairs of the household as you see fit." I responded softly, Next time you want to hit someone, just have the servants do it." I was a bit dazed, and only after coming back to my senses did I realize he had been staring at my reddened palm. "Yes," I responded softly in agreement. Gu Morchen wasn't as detestable as I had imagined, perhaps seeing that I had been wronged. Gu Morchen offered to accompany me on my return visit to my parents' home. On the day of the return visit, The gifts brought by my elder sister filled 2 carriages. My stepmother was grinning from ear to ear, and my father couldn't stop smiling either. I am naturally not as good as my elder sister. Even the carefully prepared tonic only received a casual glance from my father. There are many customs for the bride's return to her natal home, yet Gu Morchen showed no trace of impatience on his face. As soon as we entered the gate of the backyard, we saw my elder sister. A pink dress made her look even more delicate. She stamped her foot and shrieked, "You lazy dogs, always slacking off, the tea in the pot has gone cold, and no one has even brewed a fresh pot. If the 4th prince blames us, I'll have every one of you beaten and sold off." The maids and elderly servants standing before her trembled as they apologized, then quickly took the teapot and hurried away. She snorted disdainfully, then turned and saw me standing not far away. I curled my lips and bowed to her, but she didn't seem satisfied. She walked up to me, smoothed her hair, and said disdainfully, "Little sister, now that you see me, you must perform a grand bow." I stared at her steadily, my expression still calm and unruffled. The maid Yunzai by her side, relying on her master's influence, pointed at my face and repeated, "The princess consort told you to kneel. Did you hear that?" I pretended not to understand and said, "A consort and a secondary consort are quite different. I am foolish and do not know which status is higher, the secondary consort of a prince or the legitimate wife of a marquis." Yunzai fell silent, naturally. "It is the wife of the marquis." Su Qingyue's face flushed with anger. "My sister has only been married for 3 days, yet she truly puts on such airs. I suppose it's understandable. The marquis has a son by his side and beauties to accompany him, so my sister must have plenty of leisure. Although I am only a concubine, the 4th prince treats me exceptionally well, always putting me first in everything." Her elder sister made no effort to hide her sarcasm, while her own radiant appearance clearly showed how much she had been nurtured by the spring rain. I nodded in agreement. "Sister, you look so happy. With the 4th prince having so many concubines, I imagine you must be quite busy." Just as my legitimate sister was about to get angry, the appearance of our legitimate mother extinguished the impending conflict. "Now that you are both married women, the most important thing is to bear children. They say a mother's status is elevated by her son. So no matter how many concubines he takes in the future, your position will remain secure." My elder sister shyly lowered her head and said, "Bei and I are deeply in love. I'm afraid it won't be long before we have good news." Bei, of course, refers to the 4th prince's given name. Hearing my elder sister's bold claims, I couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile. The 4th prince has issues with his offspring, so my elder sister's plan to rise through bearing a child is doomed to fail. "Then I wish my sister a swift conception of a noble son." She emphasized the words noble son with particular stress. Within 3 days of receiving the token, the steward delivered the account books. I skimmed through the account books hastily, but my mind was preoccupied with more important matters. I haven't yet met the legitimate son that everyone in the marquis's household keeps talking about. As soon as I stepped into the academy, a swift wind rushed past my ear. I tilted my head to dodge it, losing only a few strands of hair. The opponent wielded a wooden short sword. Although his sword technique was fierce, it still lacked refinement. In just a few moves, the guard behind me disarmed him. Seeing me playfully twirling his sword in my hand, he flushed red with anger, crossed his arms, and said, "So you're the new stepmother my father just married." I lowered my head to look at this little dumpling, round eyes, pink lips, and skin as fair as jade. She bore a 4 or 5 out of 10 resemblance to Gu Morchen. I smiled and said, "Yes, but I'm here to take care of you. I heard the young master is a bit picky with food and careless with his studies. Your father not only has to handle official duties but also worries about you all day long. But don't worry, from now on, I will personally keep an eye on your studies." Gu Chengsh's eyes widened in shock. "You wicked woman, you bullied Aunt Gu. And now you want to bully me too? I'll definitely make father drive you out." He jumped up, snatched the sword, and ran off in a slightly flustered manner. I couldn't help but let out a soft, radiant smile. Chundao looked somewhat worried. "Miss, you've offended him right after meeting him. This Marquis Gu dotes on him beyond measure." I waved my hand dismissively. He's just a child, nothing to fear. The truly frightening one is, who is it? A man's deep voice sounded from behind, Lord Gu. His temper is as unpredictable as the weather, quite difficult to please. I turned around and met Gu Morchan's deep, half-smiling eyes. Whether it's difficult or not, you'll only know after serving him. I wanted to escape, but he swiftly wrapped his arm around my slender waist. Oh no, I'm done for. I've really stepped in it this time. That little brat Gu Chengshi got me scolded for several days. This is absolutely unbearable. Reading and practicing calligraphy are all scheduled. I must give him a complete childhood. Gu Chengshi prefers martial arts over literature, so I plan to temper his character. I made him practice calligraphy every morning, but he just scribbled all over the paper. He even deliberately drew an ugly monster and claimed it was a portrait of me. It made me so angry that I felt my blood pressure rise, and I raised my hand to play a tune on his backside. If you keep slacking off, copy the big characters 100 times for me. Gu Morchan came back, saw this scene, his sword-like eyebrows furrowed, and he strode over to snatch the child from my hands. Su Mohuan, how dare you hit him? Gu Chengshi tearfully hid the portrait and tearfully recounted my violent behavior during this period. Mother forced Elevenor to practice calligraphy and read every day. Elevenor said she didn't like it, so mother beat Elevenor. Don't you dare lie to me. The endless lies made my head buzz with anger. Reading and literacy are meant to help you understand principles. With nothing but brute strength, are you going to be a reckless brute in the future? Lord Marquis, Xie has a mischievous nature. If we don't discipline him while he's young, what will he be like when he grows up? Indulging a child is like harming them. I'm sure you understand this without me having to say it. The more I spoke, the angrier I became. Forgetting all sense of propriety, I pulled the portrait from his sleeve, and what's more, Xie drew a picture of a yakshaw and claimed it was me. A spanking is the least he deserves. I glared at Gu Chengshi with fiery eyes, as if flames were about to shoot out. He couldn't help but take a deep look at me, as if trying to see right through me. After a long moment, he tossed Gu Chengshi over to me. A slight smile curling at the corner of his lips, he said softly, "The upbringing of our children is entirely up to you, my lady." Gu Morchan relented, making things much easier to handle. Mornings were spent accompanying her in her studies, afternoons in practice, and her coursework was supervised daily, though it often made me question my life choices. Her academic performance did improve in the end. Just when I thought everything was moving in a positive direction, Xie seemed to develop a rebellious streak. He not only does his homework carelessly but also cleans the house in a sloppy manner. I scolded him a few times, but he yelled back at me, "I am the legitimate son of the household, and this vast Marquis estate will be mine in the future. Why should I study so hard? I just want to play. If you dare hit me, I'll go tell grandfather." I retorted, "You are the legitimate son, that's true, but everything depends on capability. If you don't strive to improve, why can't someone else replace you?" I knew it. Aunt Gu was right. You want to have a son with my father to replace me. My eyes darkened. So it was Aunt Gu stirring up trouble. She must have been displeased with how close I was to Elevenor and instigated Gu Chengshi to say those words. "Well, Aunt Gu, I haven't even settled the account of you withholding the servants' wages, and now you're coming to me on your own. The top priority right now is to calm Xie down." So I said, "I won't have a child with your father. In this lifetime, your father and I will only have you as our child. Have a child. I've been drinking contraceptive soup. It's simply absurd." "Really?" Gu Chengshi blinked. Seeing me nod, he jumped up with joy. "Dad, did you hear that? This woman doesn't like you at all, yet you sneak over to sleep with her in the middle of the night, even abandoning Xie." I turned around in shock. Gu Morchan stood behind me, his face cold as he grunted in acknowledgement. "I have Xie, and that's enough for me." So, Gu Chengshi set another trap for me. At the end-of-month family banquet, Gu Anning barged in with a group of maids and elderly servants. Glancing at the food on the table, she exclaimed loudly, "You eat so well, yet you send me nothing but plain kanji and pickles every day. I'd like to ask the lady of the house, what exactly are you scheming?" The mother-in-law sat in the main seat, frowned, and scolded. Anning, speak slowly. What kind of behavior is all this shouting and yelling? Ji Anning hugged her mother-in-law's leg and cried out, Aunt, it's really Su Mohuan who went too far. Ninga is starving and freezing, it's clear that she's mistreating me. I stood up and sneered. Didn't Aunt Ji withdraw a year's allowance in advance? The money is all in your pocket, so why are you still saying I didn't let you eat your fill? If mother-in-law doesn't believe me, why don't you take a look at the account book? At the mention of the account book, Ji Anning's face instantly changed, hesitating, still wanting to explain something. Her mother-in-law glared at her. Hurry up and leave. I knew that my mother-in-law was being biased and still wanted to protect her. I silently ate my food. Mother, please don't interfere with this matter. Since Ji Morchen has spoken, this matter won't be easily resolved. It's getting late. Your mother and I will return to our rooms now. With a final decision made, the old Marquis hurriedly led his wife out the door. You vile woman, you framed me. May you die a miserable death. My lord, I've been wronged. I sneered coldly. My patience over the past few days had reached its limit. Heh, you're about to die and still refuse to repent. My gaze turned completely cold. Nianxiu understood the cue, walked up to Ji Anning, and raised her hand to slap him. Ji Anning looked up in shock, and as she came to her senses, all her composure was thrown aside, with anger taking over her mind. You wretched servant, how dare you hit me? Her maid had already been restrained, and Mema's son grabbed her and slapped her again. At this, Ji Anning was completely bewildered, but the look she gave me was as if she wanted to devour someone. Aunt Ji, I recall that when you first arrived at the Marquis's residence, I had Mema's son teach you the rules. I took a leisurely sip of tea, then set down the cup. Someone come here. Aunt Ji has overstepped her bounds and shown no respect for authority. Give her 20 strokes with the rod. Ji Anning instantly turned pale, panicking. You can't do this to me. I'm the Marquis's cousin. I rubbed my temples irritably. So noisy. Nanny's son understood my meaning and stuffed a smelly rag into her mouth. I tucked a strand of hair behind my ear and let out a soft sigh. Beat her. The guard raised the whip and brought it down swiftly, showing no mercy. Ji Ningen trembled in pain and passed out before even 20 lashes. With a cold glare, I turned to the guard beside me. Wake her up. Cold water poured over her head, and Ji Anning instantly jolted awake. I slowly rose and walked up to her. Pulling the rag out of her mouth, seizing the chance to catch her breath, she gasped for air, but her mouth remained as foul as ever. Su Mohuan. I won't let you off even if I become a ghost. Her gaze was venomous, but I paid it no mind. I tightened my grip on her chin, leaned in slightly, and curled my lips into a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Oh, is that so, Su? She still wanted to curse me, so I raised my hand and slapped her. Clutching my slightly stinging palm, I issued another command, beat her, but leave her half alive. My tone was very soft, but all the guards and maids in the courtyard kept their heads deeply bowed. Not daring to look up, Ji Morchen's face instantly darkened. If you dare speak filth again, I'll make sure you never speak for the rest of your life. Ah! Ji Anning's miserable cry echoed through every corner of the Marquis residence. With Aunt Ji losing her power, many servants came forward to expose her crimes. Withholding servants' wages and mistreating them, each offense was enough to make her suffer. Later, the mother-in-law gave the order that Ji Anning would spend the rest of her life in the woodshed, which finally quelled everyone's anger. Without the petty people causing trouble or the flies buzzing around, the Marquis's residence became much more peaceful. However, a scandal too embarrassing to mention occurred at the fourth prince's residence. Rumors began to circulate from unknown sources, claiming that the fourth prince's poor health hindered his ability to have children. For a time, the common people were abuzz with discussion, and the third prince openly stated that it had brought great shame to the royal family. I was afraid my elder sister would be too heartbroken, so I deliberately brought a congratulatory gift to visit her. What are you doing here? My elder sister had a cold expression, her words laced with sarcasm, her face was haggard, and her attire was no longer as bright and charming as before. The fourth prince's disgraceful affairs. I presume my legitimate elder sister must already know about them. Naturally, I came to visit my sister. I wonder if the husband you went through so much trouble to obtain is to your satisfaction." I pretended to be concerned, leisurely waiting for her reaction. My legitimate elder sister's face showed a moment of bewilderment, but it returned to normal in less than a moment. "If you came here to mock me, you can leave now. You actually didn't fall for it. Seems you've improved compared to before." I pursed my lips and said with a tone of regret, "I'm only concerned about you, sister. If you're doing well, I won't be able to sleep at night. Now that the fourth prince's hidden ailment is known to all, it's likely he has no chance of ascending the imperial throne." My elder sister grabbed me by the collar, looking as if she wanted to devour me alive. "Was it you who did this, wasn't it?" I forcefully pushed her hand away and smoothed out the wrinkles. "It was just a small effort on my part. Sister, there's no need to thank me." Su Qingyu seemed to have gone mad, crying and laughing hysterically. "Su Mohuan, don't get too pleased with yourself. There are still many days ahead. Who will win and who will lose is yet to be decided. I await good news from my elder sister. The fourth prince has rebelled. Unfortunately, in less than half a day, all the rebels were captured. The third prince even publicly accused the fourth prince of colluding with officials, engaging in corruption, bribery, favoritism, and many other misdeeds. The fourth prince only regretted that he had not been meticulous enough in his actions, unaware that it was his legitimate sister, his beloved concubine, who had handed over the evidence of his crimes to the third prince. That very night, the fourth prince was imprisoned, and his prince's residence was sealed off overnight. Those secrets that were kept hidden have all been brought to light. Xiao Bei was torn apart by 5 horses. I was present on the day of the execution, watching him being torn to pieces before my eyes. An inexplicable sense of pleasure welled up inside me. The memories from that cramped inner room also faded away with him. Evil begets evil retribution, as it should be. The day before the execution, I went to the prison to visit my elder sister. I told her that the third prince had pleaded for her, sparing her from the death penalty. Though her face showed disbelief, her voice betrayed a hint of joy. "Really? I can really avoid the death penalty? Then when can I get out of prison?" I smiled and whispered softly in her ear, "Not in this lifetime. The emperor said you will be imprisoned until you die." She knelt before me, leaning forward to tug at my pant leg, pleading with me, "Shen Mohuan, save me. I don't want to stay in this place anymore. I want to return to the Su residence. Father and mother would never abandon me." I kicked her away and said sharply, "Get away from me. Stop dreaming. You are the wife of a disgraced official, not the queen who sets an example for the nation." Su Qingyu stood up, seemingly struck by a heavy blow, and pointed at my nose, demanding, "You clearly knew all along, so why didn't you tell me? The state I'm in now is all your fault." Memories of the past resurfaced in my mind, and I rubbed my temples. "Was it not you who insisted on marrying the fourth prince? You have no one to blame but yourself. If it weren't for you in my past life, why would I have had to endure such torment? Su Mohuan, why have you lived better than me in both lifetimes?" I brushed off my sleeves and regained my composure. "First, this is what I deserve. Second, I didn't have it easy in my past life, I just endured it. Thinking back to how glorious you once were, it's truly a pity to see you. The legitimate eldest sister, reduced to this state. I refuse to accept this. I'll kill you, you wretched woman." Su Qingyu drew the hairpin from her sleeve and lunged at me. Before she could get close, someone kicked her away. "The Marquis's guards are not to be trifled with. A fall into a pit, a gain in your wit. Do you still think I am the same Su Mohuan? The same trick only works once." After that, I left the prison and never wanted to see her again. Perhaps the execution scene was too bloody, but ever since I returned that day, I have been feeling physically exhausted and weak. Not only was I in low spirits, but my appetite had also greatly decreased. Even my mother-in-law noticed something was wrong. Jiyu Morchan invited a physician to take my pulse, who said I was already 2 months pregnant. Nianqiu and Mother Sun were so frightened they almost forgot to breathe. What nonsense was this scoundrel spouting? I sprang to my feet with a start. "What kind of quack is this? Nianqiu, quickly drive him out of the estate." The physician was so terrified that sweat beaded on his forehead, and he paced anxiously around the room. "I am the attending physician of Miaochuan Hall. upright in conduct and straightforward in action. Madam, you must not wrong an innocent person. I clearly drank the contraceptive soup. How could I possibly be pregnant? How is this any different from falsely accusing me of adultery with a man beside me? Gu Morchen remained motionless, the corners of his mouth uncontrollably turning upward. The lady is with child, Uncle Jong. Give the order that this month's allowances for the entire household are to be doubled. The doctor's consultation fee was doubled, and he didn't mind my rudeness. Continuously offering congratulations, I finally began to sense something amiss. Could it be that Gu Morchen had been deceiving me before? Marquis, don't you think you owe me an explanation? Gu Morchen cleared his throat awkwardly and spoke in a weak, defensive tone. Actually, you can't blame me for this. Contraceptive medicine. Contraceptive medicine, it only works if you drink it. Now that you've stopped taking it, of course a child would come. Gu Morchen spoke with such self-righteousness that it made my teeth itch with frustration. Alright, Gu Morchen, how dare you play me for a fool? Please spare me, my lady, I won't dare do it again. Before, I was afraid you might be the type to mistreat children, which is why I said those things, but I've realized that you are not like that. My lady, you need not worry, I will explain it to Elevenor myself. Even if I have children of my own, I will never show favoritism. My own child, you mean Xie? Could there be more to Xie's background? She is my late elder brother's orphaned daughter. When my elder brother died in battle, Xie had just been born. Xie's biological mother was originally the daughter of an ordinary merchant. The old lady Gu looked down on her background and firmly opposed their marriage. The eldest brother had no choice but to find another residence to settle her, but unwilling to let his wife suffer, he resolutely decided to join the army. He aimed to earn military merits and seek the emperor's approval for their marriage. Little did anyone expect that fate would play a cruel trick. The eldest brother remained forever on the battlefield. Hearing the tragic news, Hill's biological mother couldn't accept it and took her own life to follow her elder brother, leaving behind only the child still in swaddling clothes. Hill is his elder brother's only bloodline, so he must raise Hill properly to adulthood. 3 years later, Gu Morchen looked at me pitifully. My lady, can we today? I stopped him. Chea is here, we can't. Gu Morchen compromised. Then tomorrow is fine too. No, Xie's school is on holiday tomorrow, and I promised to take him kite flying. At that, Gu Morchen immediately changed his expression and glared at the little chubby bundle in my arms. Gu Shicha, tonight you go sleep with Grandpa. Chea pouted his little mouth, unwilling to back down. No, mother belongs to me and brother. So Gu Morchen turned his evil claws toward his son. I pouted, tossed Gu Shicha onto the bed, and let the two of them go at it. Watching the unusually harmonious father and son, my heart was filled with countless emotions. In this lifetime, I am very happy.